I'm back again. I know I've been gone for a minute and I'm sorry, but I think about the nice comments you guys leave me constantly, so I just want to say thank you for supporting me, even though I've been disappearing again. Getting back on track. Promise. I'm sure my fellow artists out there know what it's like to go through a creative slump, but we gotta push through, right? We gotta. Woo! Okay. Last video, we redesigned Frankie, and I felt like I just had to do Cleo next. I'll make it clear right off the bat that I just adore the two of them together. I did have to go through a little bit of a mourning process for Deuce and Cleo though, since ever since I was a kid, I thought they were so cute together. I loved that a girl as high maintenance as Cleo had a chill dude that was just absolutely devoted to her.
I should have known she'd never play fair.
Forget your sister. You just go out there and do your best.
Reminds me a bit of Brella when I put it like that, which absolutely makes sense, since that's probably my favorite Winx ship after Soundwave, of course. In Gen 3, Deuce and Cleo actually were a couple at some point. However, they broke up before the events of the show. I'm glad it wasn't a bad breakup. Instead, they just decided that they would be better off as friends. Considering how beloved of a duo they were, it would have just rubbed a lot of OG fans the wrong way, I think, if they had decided to give them a messy breakup. I'm really excited to do a Deuce redesign at some point, actually. I was pretty worried about the direction they were gonna take him. Once again, I still have not watched the live action. I'm sorry, it's just... I haven't watched Descendants either, if that tells you. I know that they were thinking of pairing him up with Claudine, which would not have been good, but I really like the role he plays as a friend of the main group. In fact, to me, it seems like he's closest with Frankie in particular, which is super interesting when we start to see Frankie and Cleo develop feelings for each other. I really like Gen 3 Cleo, which I'm sure is no surprise. I enjoy the new aspects they added to her personality while still keeping her feeling like Cleo. She's still always looking to impress people and increase her popularity, but there's like an innocence to her now that really makes her feel like a teenager to me. Sometimes I think maybe she feels a little too innocent though, since she is hundreds of years old, but she still has a lot to learn, just like Draculaura. And I think she is still aging in a peculiar monster way, since in Gen 3 she was apparently mummified as a child, and we see that Nephra seems to have aged and grown out of doing certain things that she used to. Oh yeah, they also made Nephra not suck as much in the new one. In fact, the whole family seems a lot less toxic. Also, their mom is alive, or undead. She's with them. She's a mummy with them.
Cleo! Mommy! Baba!
And since they no longer have Claudine and Howleen as sisters, we can still get some stories playing off of that relationship dynamic with the Denial sisters. And those of you who have seen my Winx stuff know I am an absolute sucker for sisterly bonds. It's one of the main themes of my rewrite. So yeah, now Nephra just gives off the vibes of a cooler, sort of unreachable, seemingly infallible older sibling. That works really well with new Cleo, who absolutely screams little sister.
Cleo! My most precious little sister! Love you so much, can you believe I'm back already?
I think it's adorable. Another new thing about Cleo is that she's really interested in humans. Having a human fanatic amongst our monster cast is such a good idea, especially since we now have Claudine playing the role of someone raised human whom had a fascination with monsters her whole life. And I'm really glad they decided to give that trait to Cleo in particular. She's a type of monster that once was human, but unlike zombies, which seem to be more unliving than undead, Cleo's magical mummified state has made her pretty much immortal, if not very, very long living, like Draculaura. In Gen 1, I think Cleo wasn't really dead, but rather her life had been magically preserved by enchanted wraps or something like that. No, yeah, enchanted wraps. So she never really died in the first place. At least that's how I interpret it, but Gen 3 Cleo, I feel, is very explicitly a post-life being, considering she carries around her organs in a handbag. Another choice I love, by the way. I love functional accessories like that. Anyways, I think it's possible that maybe Cleo's obsession with humans has something to do with the fact that she herself once was a living human. But when she was mummified, the human world kept changing and changing while she stayed the same. Part of her still feels, or wants to feel, connected to it, connected to life. Then she ends up dating Frankie, who is basically a culmination of monster kind in a way, being made up of all different species from all different walks of life and death. And though they are technically undead, this is their first true go-around when it comes to being a person. To me, in a way, Frankie is just plain alive. Regular style. Plus, they also have an ability the wiki calls life spark, which is what allows them to charge batteries and turn cameras into living beings. This is all just to say that I think pairing a mummy and a Frankenmonster together is thematically pretty cool. Oh, hey, let's talk about the design a little bit. That would make sense. I really do like Cleo's new design, and there were some things I really wanted to keep from it for my redesign, like her lip paint and the way that her skin seems to have this golden shimmer to it, which you'll see in the final looks. I tried to go for like a body glitter effect for her. One thing I don't particularly like about her new design is her hair, actually. It's not that I hate it, I just feel like it's a little boring. A little plain. I get that giving a Cleopatra character straight cut bangs might be, I don't know, too easy, sort of played out, I guess, maybe. So even though I do miss the bangs, I did try to do something different as far as her hairstyle. I think Cleo would be the kind of girl to get up at 5 a.m. every day, or I guess 5 p.m. every night, to straighten her hair and do her makeup before she goes out into the world. So I did still draw her with straighter hair, even though in reality, I imagine it's curlier. I went for a half up, half down style with 2 twist outs coming down and framing her face instead of regular bangs. I guess to show that her natural hair texture isn't this straight, she's just putting in a lot of effort every day. She is a perpetual high schooler. It's been a little while since I actually did her drawings, and I can't remember if I did it when I was recording, but I did try to make it look like she has tinsel in her hair. I remember when I was adding the finishing touches, she just kept getting more and more sparkly, which I think suits her. I kept her color palette to golds and blues mostly. The colors I know were associated with ancient Egyptian royalty. In fact, the blue gems that you see in her jewelry are actually glass, which, if my research is correct, was used often in ancient Egyptian jewelry and was considered quite valuable, especially blue, which is something that you'll see throughout lots of different parts of history, is that blue was just a difficult pigment to make. Like, did you guys hear about that room that they just discovered in Pompeii that is painted in this beautiful blue color because it was used for holy relics? Oh, it's so cool. The shades of blue that I used for Cleo are not only meant to mimic the color of the glass beads I've seen used, but also lapis lazuli and the turquoise colored glaze that was used on ceramics at the time, like this guy that I like to visit at the Met. Fun fact, his name is William because in 1931, a British satire magazine published a story about a family that had a print of him on their wall that had psychic properties. That's what the Met says, at least. I was not there. Her flip-flops are based on the golden sandals found being worn by King Tutankhamun in his tomb. I love the idea of dusting this kind of mummy, the undead one, in gold as a part of the magical preservation method or upkeep of it, since gold itself doesn't rust or tarnish over time. Though I think the gold beads woven into her wraps are just decorative. Oh, and of course I had to incorporate the Eye of Horus into her makeup. That's just classic mummy stuff right there. It works as a symbol for her second life, just as Horus's eye was healed. And I just can't help but personally associate it with Anubis, the god of death, because of House of Anubis. I watched that show weekly when it was coming out. She kind of has it in her Gen 3 design, the Eye of Horus in her makeup, but it looks a little off to me, and I wanted to depict it kind of more accurately, I guess. I think it's a beautiful symbol. Other than that, I didn't actually do too much with her makeup because she's also covered in body shimmer, but she is, of course, wearing kohl. I wanted Cleo's design to feel casual and extra at the same time, with lots of sparkle and ties and dangling bits. Also, I wanted to keep her wraps under her clothes, since to me they would still function in rejuvenating parts of her mummified body that need special attention in warding off decay or something. I gave her eyes a golden glow that I think shines brighter the better she's doing, both physically and mentally. You know how someone's eyes will dilate when they see someone they care about? Just imagine her looking at Frankie and her eyes glowing bright, bright gold. I'm pretty happy with her. I think I still am just not adding enough detail or accessories though. I don't know. I really tried adding a lot with her because, you know, she's Cleo de Nile. She has to be covered in accessories. Definitely need to work on that more, especially for when I do enchantix. I do like the poses I gave her. I think they seem like ones she would do for getting her picture taken, being someone who's pretty invested in looking good and maybe a little bit of a drama queen. I really like the background I did for her. I was going for a faceted glass or crystal effect, and it was really fun to play around with. God, I gotta get better at doing backgrounds too. Art is a journey, my friends. Anyways, there you go, in all her glitz and glam and glory. As always, let me know what you think in the comments. I love hearing what you guys like or don't like about my designs and hearing some obscure fun facts along the way. Yeah, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye! This design is really making me want to get some body shimmer.